Welcome
How
on
you
board.
doing?
There we
Yeah,
go. I've
thank
got
you.
Keith and Mike, Deborah,
Right here.
okay, and Sue. Long reach, Sue. Aloha. And Deborah, getting
Deborah.
situated. How you doing? Welcome aboard. I know everyone's had a safety briefing, so that will quicken the pace to get off the ground. Always like to point out the emergency exit handles to the left and right. If you remove the plexiglass, grab the handle and lift, the door falls off. So we don't want to reach down, grab and pull on those flying around. And I've got a microphone in my headset also, but sometimes you'll see my mouth moving and you won't hear a thing. Those are the times I'm on the radio talking outside to air traffic controllers, other aircraft out there flying around. So if you see my mouth move and you don't hear anything, that's what I'm doing. I've been in Hawaii now over 30 years. I got here compliments of General Noriega. He tried to kill me September 17, 1987 and failed. He went to prison, I went to Hawaii. Let's just call it even right there. And since that time, I have safely flown over 250,000 people by helicopter. When you look at that in terms of 4 to 6 people at a time, that is a whole lot of flying going on right there. That's my wife out there in the white car, my much, much, much better half. All right, let's fly. All right, we're set. Let's fly. And just like that, we reach our initial cruising altitude. I guess I can open my eyes now. Yeah, welcome to the beautiful Garden Isle. That airplane you see to your left has got a problem with its landing gear. And so they're kind of just going to go out there and orbit around a little bit. And you'll see them orbiting around there. They have a false indication light. And they were not indicating their landing gear. We're down in lock, so a little action going on as we're leaving over there. In the back of Nawiliwili Harbor is the Kipu Stream. That might look familiar if you saw Indiana Jones and Raiders of the Lost Ark. Remember the scene where Harrison Ford comes running out of the woods, being chased and telling the pilot of the seaplane, "Start the engines." That was filmed over here to your right side. Yeah, that was one of Harrison Ford's own airplanes.
You pilot?
So we got to play some of the right music there for it. Harrison Ford loves Kauai. And he also shot the movie 6 Days, 7 Nights here. Just over this ridge, you'll see a beach. Most of 6 Days, 7 Nights was filmed on it. Recently, Harrison Ford shows up with his son, daughter-in-law, and 2 granddaughters, Sophie and Sydney, asking to go fly with me. How would you like to take the whole Ford family on a tour of Kauai all at one time? Well, over the years, out of all the celebrities I've flown, only one time my wife got a little upset. When I was flying Holly Berry.
Oh.
Right after we took off, Holly grabbed my arm and said, "Steve, I'm a little bit frightened. Can I hold your arm when you fly?" I said, "You sure can." And she held on the whole flight, even had her head on my shoulder for a while. Have you been to Poipu Beach?
Yeah.
You'll find the Grand Hyatts over there, the Sheraton, Brenicke's, Hula Grill, Spouting Horn. Yeah, you drive right past the Waita Reservoir if you go over there. Wai is Hawaiian for water. Ta is Japanese for rice. That was actually built as a rice paddy for workers from Japan working Kaloa Sugar Mill. Built back in 1837 is the first sugar mill ever built in Hawaii. And first you go through the tunnel of trees to get over there, which is just over the ridge. A tunnel of eucalyptus planted by Valdemar Knutsen in 1863. Eucalyptus come from Australia. We do have a much more popular tree from Australia, though. How about the macadamia nut tree? Anyone like mac nuts?
Yep.
Did you know there are 80 calories a nut before the chocolate goes on top? How about 1,000 calories a handful? Ooh. Thanks a lot, Steve. Here's the good news. They're good calories. Mac nuts contain palmitoleic acid, which increases metabolism and reduces fat around the heart and liver. I say, eat all the mac nuts you can eat. You're doing the body good. A strategy that has, well, slightly backfired on me. Yeah, I've got a little mac nut insulation right now. I love mac nuts. That's Port Allen. That used to be the main shipping harbor until they developed Nawili Willie. Anyone drive that way? Did you stop and visit the Kauai Coffee Company?
We're going to tomorrow, right?
Oh, it's a great place. They are very generous with their free samples. You will not sleep for days after visiting that place. Even the cookies have coffee in them. Much to the surprise of parents who tell their children, "Oh, no, you're too young for that coffee. Here, have some cookies instead." Instantly turn their children into the Flash. When you see the large building structure in the middle of all those coffee trees, that's the Kauai Coffee Company. You can see the road that goes over that direction. Up ahead, we've got Hanapepe Valley, which we'll take a look at. Got some waterfalls I can show you. And over here, just offshore to your left front, you can actually see there's a island just under the clouds on the right side of it offshore. That's the island Niihau, privately owned by the Robinson family, descendants of Elizabeth Sinclair. She bought the island for $10,000 gold in 1864. Kamehameha IV, seeing the gold, wanted more of it, so he offered for Elizabeth to buy more land out of Oahu. She took a look, thought it was too swampy, and politely declined. Should have bought it. Years later, they built the Alawai Canal that would drain the swamp. Today, we call it Waikiki.
Oh.
Had the family bought it, they would now be billionaires. And there's the Mono Waipuna Falls, Deborah and Keith, if you look to your right.
Oh, lovely.
See the helicopter landed down there?
Yeah.
Now, that's the waterfalls in Jurassic Park in the first movie. And the helicopter in the movie is landing right in front of the falls. But take a look. There's no landing pad down there.
Oh, yeah.
And the only place you can land is way out there. The helicopter was landing in front of a green screen in front of a hangar and put together with Hollywood special effects. Let me know if you see a T-Rex or Velociraptor.
The waterfall.
Isn't that beautiful? Timeshare. Everyone gets a view. And up ahead we have our Kahili Falls. A Kahili is a feathered standard posted either side of a Hawaiian chief, like the falls appear to be posted either side of the prominence in the middle. Can you imagine exchanging or renewing wedding vows in a helicopter in front of waterfalls like this? Well, I'm also licensed to perform aerial weddings and renew wedding vows for couples in places like this. Yeah, what couples like, it's beautiful, and they know they come back married. Only two choices. I do, or Geronimo. Yeah, a little more pressure to say the right thing at the right time. I have yet to see cold feet. I've seen cold sweat. Ever hear a show called The Bachelorette? I was the one flying Jillian and Reed around Maui for the finale episode.
Wow.
I spent the entire day with that couple, saw absolutely no reality whatsoever. They didn't even talk to each other unless the camera was rolling.
Oh, interesting.
So I felt obligated to add some their way. On my way to Hanamaui to drop them off, I went by a waterfalls, turned and mentioned I could perform an aerial wedding. And Reed froze up like a deer in the headlights. That poor guy thought he was getting hitched before landing. It turned out no. He was getting ditched shortly after landing. Yeah, there's not much reality sometime in these reality shows. Yeah, we're catching a free ride. You don't have to fly harder if you fly smarter. The smartest way to fly is like the birds. They know where all the lift is. And if you follow the routes they take, you can do what we're doing. Effortlessly climb 1,000 feet a minute without adding power, which allows me to stretch out the tour further and show you more of Kauai in the time period we have. And because we're following the routes of the birds to do this, I think it's also the reason my wife calls me a bird brain. You don't suppose there's some other reason she calls me that, do you? Oh, no, Steve. No, you nailed it. That's it. Welcome to the desert. Cactus growing everywhere, scorpions crawling across the dirt. Less than 12 inches of annual rain. reason for this, the normal trade winds blow up the mountain on the other side, and the air quickly expands and cools to dew point, the clouds condense, and rains out all the moisture. The air becomes dehumidified and creates the desert on this side. Adiabatic cooling of air, which you can actually see on a smaller scale if you have an air compressor. Open the nozzle, it freezes. That's the expanding air coming out. And by the way, you never use that as your illustration. If you're asked a question, my wife asked me, honey, why do my lips always feel so cold? Well, honey, open the nozzle of an air compressor, does the same thing, probably for the same reason. Now, I was hoping that Bridget's elbow was going to come my way, because that's usually when I catch the first elbow, whenever I say that. At some point, Sue and Deborah will be cheering you on too, Bridget. That's the river in town, Waimea, along the shore. That's where Captain James Cook became the first Westerner ever to set foot on Hawaiian soil, January 16th, 1778. And there was a remarkable coincidence. During his visit, Hawaiians were celebrating Makahiki, their New Year's. And they would take big, square pieces of tapa cloth made from the bark of trees, attach it to wooden poles, and parade clockwise around the shore, announcing the coming of Lono from the sea. Here comes two ships, the Discovery and the Resolution, clockwise around the shore, with big square sails on their wooden mast poles identical to the tapa cloth the Hawaiians were holding.
Wow.
Hawaiians thought Captain Cook was Lono. It didn't last long. 1 year, 1 month later, he's on the big island at Kealakekua Bay. He gets into a fight with Hawaiians and cuts himself. The moment they saw that, they knew he wasn't Lono. They killed him immediately. He died Valentine's Day, 1779. It was a very bad day for Captain Cook, and we lost one of the great sea navigators. And look at all the red dirt. That's the oxidized iron in the soil. They dye t-shirts with it, red dirt shirts. It also dyes the water red going back to the shore. Waimea means red water. And must have inspired Samuel Clemens too. After his visit, returning home, he would write, I now know a place where the smell of the flowers blow across the sea. And though I might sit over 1,000 miles away, I can never forget this beautiful place where waters deep and red still stir my imagination. Stirring anyone's imagination? You might see wildlife out here. We have wild goat, wild boar, deer, pheasant, quail, dove, feral sheep, and chickens running wild all over Kauai. Have you noticed that?
Yeah.
That's all thanks to Hurricane Iniki, which hit the island September 11th, 1992. The eye of the hurricane went directly across the center of Kauai. And so did chickens, 150 miles an hour. They've now become evenly distributed, solved a mystery at the same time. What came first, the chicken or the egg? Apparently, 150 mile an hour chicken. In the back of the desert, wouldn't expect a waterfalls. That's the Waipo'o Falls, and it's the farthest place water travels from Mount Waialeale through the Ilokai Swamp. White-tailed tropic birds soaring around. There you go, Deborah and Keith got the first view. Might see hikers up there.